Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Brevard Sports Network. Alan Slaughterzinski with you here as we continue our summer series of interviews. Now, obviously, we aren't doing as many as we did last year, but the ones we are doing this summer, we think are interesting and are ones you're going to want to watch. And we definitely believe that tonight's guest fits that bill. This is a gentleman who is a graduate of Bayside High School. He's currently coaching at Bayside High School, recently got his MBA, and he does a lot. And oh, by the way, he's also running for Palm Bay City Council, Seat 2. Please help me welcome Patric McNally. And Patric, first of all, welcome to the set here on Brevard Sports Network.
Thank you.
I guess let's start with this, man. Time. You're running for city council. Yep. You're a coach. You got a great job. Recently got your MBA. How do you find time to do all this stuff?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's certainly an interesting dynamic, but I mean, everything I'm doing, I care about. And I think the things that you care and you love and are going to kind of bring your life forward are worth to make time for, right? And I'm no stranger to dealing with adversity in life. So luckily my MBA just ended, so that was a tough time. Hopefully, cross my fingers, I'm done with school for now, but we'll see what happens in the future. But outside of that, my job, Winchester Interconnect, is super flexible with me. And Bayside High School, luckily, they coach after school. So it's been a busy time, but it's all worth it.
I'm curious. I read Winchester Interconnect. Is that like a robotics company? What exactly is Winchester Interconnect?
So we are an interconnect company, right? We have locations all over the United States and internationally. We do interconnects such as RF or microwave, fiber, hermetics. We mainly deal in the aerospace and defense market, but touched a little bit of everywhere: industrial, medical, stuff like that. So I cover the entire state of Florida for that company, all products.
Wow. Unbelievable. And then now you say the entire state, which makes me wonder even more about your time.
Yeah.
But anyway, Patric, down at Bayside, what are you coaching down at Bayside right now?
So luckily, I get to coach the quarterbacks. So,
okay.
I just came on this spring. I've coached around the area a little bit in Palm Bay and Melbourne, but just started this spring with Coach Miller's staff.
You, in terms of coaching or having played at Palm Bay and now coaching at Palm Bay, you're not unique in that we often, and this is a wonderful county, we often see alumni going back to help and coach where they played.
Yep. And
we see that a lot, especially at Palm Bay, we do see that. Yeah. Tell me, I spoke to Coach Miller. I'm curious. You guys made a move this year. Yep. You're going to be playing in the Sunshine Athletic Association, which I think is a terrific move for this program.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about kind of where the team is right now in terms of that thinking and how you believe and how Coach Miller believes this is a positive for this program.
Yeah. So currently, Bayside's always been interesting, right? And like you had mentioned, I had played with them years ago. But I think right now we're kind of in that stage where we're still growing to be one team, one unit, right? And we're making that move to that independent league for us to be able to kind of take those years for us to rebuild our foundation, rebuild our identity. And luckily we have Coach Miller who's has done an amazing job with just the discipline and teaching kids how to be men both on the field and off the field. And just overall, just being a great coach for him. And, I'm excited. I think it's going to give us an opportunity to really establish some faith and trust back in the kids that, hey, we can be competitive. Hey, we're a good football team. And the kids love it. And I've coached around a few different teams, few different areas, but like you said, I love being home and just going out to that field every day. It's been great being around him.
Coach Miller is, and listen, I absolutely love his coach. I love watching the guy coach. I do. When he told me that he believed more in what he was doing because he was more concerned about the 25-year-old student athlete than he was about the 16-year-old student athlete, that spoke volumes to me, meaning he knows, the principle and the mantra that you're going to be a good teammate, you're going to be a good son, those are all core values that I think that gets lost in today's student athletes a lot more than I think we care to admit as from a media standpoint, from a parental standpoint, from an administration, from a coach's standpoint. I just think it gets lost, and it's refreshing to hear that. And I'm sure Coach preaches it.
Yeah, he does.
So here's my question. Obviously, winning is paramount. It just is. I love how you guys are really taking this program, because essentially what you're doing is you're retooling and rebuilding this thing. Now, you played at Bayside.
Yep.
You played for 4 different coaches at Bayside.
Yep.
You went through an 0-10 season at Bayside.
Yep.
Since the transfer policy, and I suspect that has a lot to do with it, but since the transfer policy was put into place, even when Corey Broomfield was there, and as great of a guy and coach as Corey Broomfield is, another alum, the most amount of wins that program could muster was 4 wins in a season. Now, obviously, when there was no transfer policy, there was years they won 7 games, 8 games. Coach Smith, won some games. Do you believe that the win-loss record has now become a reflection of the transfer policy? And guys like yourself and Coach Miller coming in and putting stability back into the program, is that big too?
I think, yeah, the transfer dynamic has been huge, and it really does affect programs, right? And kind of, you mentioned when I had played, it was, you know what, you were zoned for this school, that's where you're going to play.
Right.
And it's really helped, right? I think all the way up until the season of 2015, Bayside was a playoff team. 7 wins. I remember we were going to Naples. We'd even to the Richard Burroughs year, we would go to the Final Four, right?
Yeah.
And then kids graduated, and then the transfer rule goes in, and then from there, we've only really been able to muster up 4 wins. And I think the biggest thing that has kind of plagued us is consistency in head coaches and consistency in staff. And I'm a firm believer that I think Coach Miller is finally going to bring that consistency back, right? It's a battle. It's a journey. And anytime any team goes through those adversities and ups and downs and kind of has to battle through it, they're going to fall back on their leadership. They're going to fall back on that general who is Coach Miller. And I think him setting that tone and that pride in Bayside again that I'm so passionate about is what's going to set us back up with that consistency. So yes, transfer portal does not help, and I certainly have my opinions and thoughts on that. But I think the thing that's going to bring us back to prominence, and Bayside's always been a tough, gritty team, and that's why I love it so much. We always find a way, and at the end of the day, you're gonna know you played Bayside. So I think with that culture and that consistency Coach Miller is going to bring, and then the rest of the staff's going to bring, I think Bayside, you're going to see some good things from us this year and going forward.
You played for Smith, Ackley, Knoll, and who else?
It was Smith, Ackley, Wilcox, Knoll.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Man, 4 coaches in 4 years.
4 coaches, 4 offensive coordinators, 4 defensive coordinators. It was.
You were wide receiver, quarterback. You kind of did it.
Yep.
You kind of like that athlete guy on the offensive side of the field. I've actually got video showing of you right now.
Really?
There's still a great deal of video of you out there on the huddle of you playing. Did you know that?
Yeah, I tell kids all the time, man, go look at my highlight tape. Last year, someone said to me, he's like, Coach, I don't have a VHS tape. And I was like, I'm not that old, man. You Google my name and you see it on the highlight reel, right?
Yeah, I'm on a VHS. Yeah, I can tell you. I was checking it out the other day. I was like, check it out. Check out Patric there, here with Patric McNally. And, Coach, well, let me ask you this. You went through an 0-10 season.
Yeah, I did.
We don't see that a lot in sports. And I liked your comment when we were kind of communicating through email about learning more from 0-10 than you did from 10-0.
Yep.
What did that teach you?
I'll tell you what, when I was a kid and I was in high school, and I'm sure anybody that loses games know it's tough. You don't see the lessons and the things that it's preparing you for, right? I'm a huge man of faith, and that 0-10 season was tough. It was tough on myself, my teammates, my coaches, friends, family, right? No one likes to lose, especially when you put so much work in. And Coach Knoll at the time was a hard worker, and we really wanted to win for him. But fast forward, and it goes back to that thing where Coach Miller says, I want to make sure you're a good person at 25.
Right.
Would not be who I am today without that. It taught me, I learned really early how to battle adversity, how to say, you know what, life's going to hit, and I'm going to hit right back.
Right.
And I would not be who I am today without that season. And I think that's
Wow.
why I made that comment. Great, winning's great, and you're going to have your wins, you're going to have your losses in life. But that season prepared me to be, you know what? I'm not going to bow down in the face of adversity. If there's something, something I got to take care of in my family, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to face the music. If there's something I got to go through my career, I got to do the tough work before I get to that position. It speaks so many volumes, and that's why I think so many of those kids from that team that I talked to are doing great things, right, in their career. I'm very close. You're very close to your former teammates,
right,
and they're doing so many great things. So that's why I made that comment that it would have been great to have flip the record.
Sure.
But by no means am I disappointed in that season.
Well, I tell you what, 10-0 or 0-10, it's all worn like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
And when you can come away with that perspective,
Yeah.
to know, I know what that feels like. Our worst season was 2-8,
Yep.
and I thought it was the end of the world.
Yeah.
And so I feel you. I definitely know
Yep.
that, and people don't understand that don't play sports, or maybe if you have a child that's competitive like you are and were back then, and you'd lose, people don't understand the toll that it takes, because it a lot of times, and what separates the good coaches and mentors from the average ones are those that can get you past that a little bit quicker than the others, because it's tough to do.
It is.
Here with Patric McNally. Okay, so when you're not campaigning, and which we'll get into here in a little bit, and you're not coaching and you're not working, how do you relax? What do you do if you have time? What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy?
I'll tell you what, it's exactly like I mentioned. I love what I'm doing, man. My hobbies are football. It's exercising and staying and going. Outside of that, a big focus has been training with the quarterbacks outside of that. I mean, we have two great quarterbacks on the team. Caden Brabham is the starter. And
Love the Brabhams.
Yep. I'll get more on him in a second. Then you have Logan Norris, who is a young buck that's coming up and is also one of our better linebackers on the varsity team as well. And he's just going into his sophomore year. But I tell you what, working with Caden has been fun. I am no man short of saying bold statements. I think he's the best, if not one of the best quarterbacks of our county.
I can see it. I will tell you this. What I respect the most about Wes, dad, their dad,
Yep.
the Brabham boys, is their loyalty.
Yeah.
They could have gone anywhere else in this entire county and been a starting quarterback. All of them.
1,000%.
And you know what? I cannot tell you how that speaks to their character, integrity.
Yeah.
The fact that they're loyal to the program, loyal to Bayside, that means a lot. And I think teammates see that. And I'd be willing to bet by their presence alone,
Yeah.
sticking there, they've kept some kids there too.
I mean, that loyalty is so important, right? You can count on the person, the teammates can know, and he's the captain. I tell him all the time, and I tell all the quarterbacks all the time, whether you like it or not, you are the general of that team.
Right.
Everyone looks at the quarterback when you win or loss, and it helps. And, I'll tell you what, I played receiver at a time in high school, and I would have loved playing with a quarterback like him. You see high school, it's tough to find a great quarterback sometimes, especially one that has the intangibles, being 6'5", 190, and can sling that thing like no tomorrow. I would have been blessed playing with a kid like that. And him staying with the program and growing, and even with his brother, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes that we have the right leadership, we have the right people running the program, and overall the school of Bayside is built for success.
Yeah.
It's just keeping that consistency that's going to get us there.
I tell you, I always enjoy coming down there. I just wish there was a better cell phone signal tower down there somewhere. The worst place in the county to try to make a phone call or send a
I'll give you
text.
that.
Well, you're going down that way, so we'll get to that in a minute. So I guess, what today? Okay, so I was a quarterback in the late 80s, early 90s. And, what we did then and how we trained then and is completely different to how it's done today. And it's even different than when 10 years ago, you see these. I mean, not that they didn't have camps 10 years ago, but, man, you look at how some of these quarterbacks are being developed today. they're being developed basically right out of the womb.
Yeah.
I mean, they're at their first rivals camp
Yep.
before you know it. So what do you see today in today's quarterback that maybe that wasn't there 10 years ago? And I know, like, for example, their ability to want to watch film, work on their footwork, making sure, they have no issues. I couldn't stand getting on my knee and throwing 200 footballs a day.
Yep.
Drove me nuts. But these kids, they don't mind that stuff.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, you said it. There's so much more focus on the fundamentals and the technique of being a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's. I say it all the time. There's thousands of quarterbacks out there, like you said, kids that are bred from the womb that they may not even make it to college football one day, but the technique is so important, right? From the footwork, from the proper placement, from the proper three-step drop, from the proper, footwork to be able to get a quick ball out, right? Because you may be able to get away with it every so often with just throwing with your arm, but you need that strong base. And then even so much more of all the little intricacies you see today of the sciences behind it, of what tucking the torsos go, what's keeping it tight as it comes around, making sure you come through. I'm a Eli Manning fan and Peyton Manning fan, so flicking the booger just to make sure it has the perfect spiral, right?
That's the way it is.
It's so much more of a drill there, and I think a thing that's even more so that's trickling down to the lower levels of quarterbacks is their ability to read a field.
Yes.
And their ability to be able to see what the defense is giving them. When I was playing quarterback back in Bayside going on 10 years ago, it was really, hey, here's your read. Let's stick with it. If not, take off and run. But now it's, hey, you need to work through this progression. Here's this first, second, and third read. And if not, then you have your check down. And there's so much more of a focus on that because a lot of the teams are going to that, air raid offense, setting four.
Spread them out.
Right. So that's one of the other reasons I'm blessed to have Caden is that he can read a field.
What is your philosophy behind an offense? What do you like to run? A quarterback like Caden who's 6'5" can sling it. Obviously, you want to throw the ball down the field. But what is your philosophy in offense?
I grew up a Georgia Tech fan.
Okay.
And when they were the triple option.
I love that.
And I am in love with the triple option offense because of just so much deception, so many options, and it's built for those teams that doesn't have a strong offensive line, or built for those teams that, hey, I'm okay picking up 3 yards and my drive being 9 minutes long to score a touchdown. That just means your offense isn't going to be on the field. And I love that offense. It always has a soft spot for me, but I certainly like the air raid offense too. Our offensive coordinator down there, Coach Eves, has done a great job of just doing motions, different checks, different ways to get the ball out onto the field and get it to the playmakers. But if I were to become an offensive coordinator tomorrow at a team that was trying to build, you don't be surprised if you don't see the
triple option. I got you. Listen, man, that triple option. There's a program Coco plays every year from Orlando that runs it, and they are great at it, and it gives Coco fits. Mm-hmm. You don't know who's getting the ball. You don't know which direction they're running. And you're right with bad and the fact that your offensive line can't make a block doesn't matter.
Yeah,
misdirection and it's
there's almost when Coach Wilcox, we were playing in the spring, we had shifted to a triple option offense. So for a spring, I was a triple option quarterback, and it was the greatest. We played Merritt Island and Melbourne in the spring jamboree. And it was great. I mean, you see D linemen skirt right by you, thinking they're in position, and the ball's over here.
Over here, right? And, he's over there, guy.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. All right, so politics. I had my days in this county covering politics, so I'm certainly no stranger to, the races and the council seats and the county commission and all of that. So, first of all, why do you want to get into politics?
That's the first question everyone asks. And I want to be a part of local politics. I have no aspirations to be anything bigger and higher than that, right? So I got into local politics because I think there's a huge need for leadership, right? I've lived in Palm Bay my entire life. My dad and my mom is here, my nieces, nephews, brothers, so friends, family, and I just think there's a dire need for leadership and for transparency for people to believe that, hey, I have your best interest at heart. I'm going to do the things that need to get done to make sure that you have a better tomorrow, right? And that's the biggest reason, I'm not in it for the rewards. I'm not in it for the notoriety that it comes. I'm in it for, you know what? Hey, Mr. Palm Bay resident, Mrs. Palm Bay resident, what's your problem? You know what? Let's go get that fixed. go down the certain processes, the right things that need to get done. And next thing you know, their life is better for it because I was able to make an impact in their life. And that's the reason.
You know, on the screen right now, you're seeing Patric McNally's beliefs on his campaign: infrastructure, emergency services, conservative spending, entertainment focus. And like every campaign needs money. And on the bottom there, you will see the why can I not remember what that thing is called?
The QR code?
Right, QR code on the bottom of the screen there. And I'm always going to throw my support behind anybody running for an office, left, right, center. I don't care. If you're in sports and coaching kids, you got my support. That's how I look at it. But let's talk about infrastructure because, you know, Brevard County, there are parts that are, you know, new as a newborn baby, right? But there are parts that desperately need help. Yep. Tell me about your beliefs in infrastructure as it pertains to Palm Bay.
So when you look at Brevard County, Palm Bay is, I believe, the biggest city. We're 130,000 plus people, and when COVID hit, everything slowed down, but there was a boom in people moving here. Now, granted, people just moving to Florida in general, but also there's so many incentives to come to Palm Bay because, you know, at the time, housing was affordable. We had a lot of manufacturing, high-skilled jobs around here, and it was just a popular place. But the unfortunate part with growth is a double-edged sword that now the infrastructure needs to keep going. And in that time, unfortunately, the city didn't keep up. So you have complaints where now it takes an extra 15, 20, 30 minutes to get to work because roads aren't wide enough or roads aren't paved or they're not good condition or, you know, now people have to go off a different routes just to kind of get to work. And on top of that, then there's major stormwater issues of flooding and obviously with the hurricane issues and just there's an overall need for expansion of just infrastructure that kind of keeps up with our development, right? Palm Bay, I believe, is 40-50% built out, so there's more room for us to grow, and I'm not against growth, but we need to take care of what's currently there, right? You know, like I said, it goes back to making people's lives easier. I think if I can make their day a little bit better by them sleeping in extra 15 more minutes, because they don't have to worry about sitting in a traffic jam, I think that's a good thing to sell. You
don't need to look any further. I don't care whether it's Palm Bay, Vieira, you know, Wickham Road is ridiculous. I don't care what time of day you're on it. I mean, it is ridiculous. And you're 100% right. Yeah. Absolutely 100% right. Emergency services. Here it says commitment to modernizing emergency services in Palm Bay, ensuring adequate staffing and fair compensation for first responders. I find it interesting because the other night I was paying particularly close attention to the Brevard County Commission meeting on the Brevard County firefighters and their contract and their struggles and what they're going through. So tell me your beliefs on how you would handle this.
You know, I saw that too, and it's just so disheartening. Our first responders put their lives on the line for us, and we demand so much from them. So to see that there has to be protesting and striking for just to be able to get fair pay and starting pay for those great people is a hard thing to see. I think the biggest thing I plan to do is just continuously working with that police and fire unions, making sure that, hey, are we advocating for you in the right way? Are we giving you the right investment in our budget? Year over year, I believe that there needs to be an investment to, hey, as our city grows, we need to make sure we're allocating this right amount of police officers, firefighters. Because I think right now there's a ratio of 700, 800 to 1 of police officers and firefighters, right? And it's tough for them to patrol an entire city. And then you look at our services, right? We're behind by quite a few fire stations, right? They try to keep that 4 to 6 minute response time. And in a city that's growing so rapidly, how can we uphold that if we don't have them?
And the thing that I find to be interesting is, I mean, again, whatever political spectrum your belief system lies, it's wild to see how at one point, 8, 10 years ago, it was to take money away from these services. And now that people have seen what doing that can do, it's amazing how that has become a part of a lot of political agendas. Again, it doesn't matter what side you're on.
And I think, it's our job as a council member to instruct our city manager, our city staff, our department heads to say, hey, this needs to be a focus. We understand that every city has their wants and needs, but this is a need, no matter how you look at it. So it's working collectively, making sure the council is on the same board, so then having united front with our city department heads to say, hey, go show me a study for how can we be competitive incentive-wise? What can we do to our package to make sure that, hey, we're taking care of the people that are here,
right,
and also incentivizing people to take this career up to make people safe. And that's going to be a huge focus for me, is because at the end of the day, infrastructure and public safety are the base value we need.
Two key cores.
The ability to make people happy with infrastructure and safe in their lives by knowing that there is someone always watching and helping them is next to none.
You going back to infrastructure for a second, I'm from Baltimore, and recently, obviously, they had that tragedy up there with the ship Dolly hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge and knocked it and tragically cost the lives of 6 workers. But the thing that the city of Baltimore, I've talked to my sister about this. The thing that everyone up there has learned with a major portion of I-695 gone, is how important infrastructure is.
Yeah.
No,
it's there is a huge focus on it, and I think with my intentions going to this pure and genuine that, hey, I'm only here to support Palm Bay, not to progress my career anywhere else.
Right.
My focus is only on Palm Bay. So
caring about the citizens there, yeah. Conservative spending, and I like this because obviously everyone wants to save some money and have, and by doing that at the government level in some small way, you can do it inside your home. So what is your belief core here?
I'm a big person in limited government. I'm a big person that, we got to give the power to the people to be able to operate and manage their own life. But conservative spending is a huge one because no one ever wants their property taxes to go up. No one ever wants to know that they have to shell out more, especially in the economy we're in now. I believe that there's some fat that needs to be trimmed in the budget. There's some areas that we're spending a little bit too much of wants on and not as much in the areas that we have needs in. And overall, I think it just conservative spending, making sure that what we're putting our time and resources into is planning for the future of Palm Bay, right? I get the need to help certain organizations and help certain things and help certain movements, but we need to make sure that our budget is conservative in the aspect that we're pushing our agendas of that infrastructure and that public safety first before anything else. So when I say conservative spending, I mean we need to look at the things that are going to help Palm Bay in the long run, not just the short term.
And the next one, and I'm going to be critical here, because I think Brevard County as a whole has dropped the ball on this one.
Yep.
And that's the entertainment focus.
Yep.
I just feel like that Brevard County, and I know you're going to talk about Palm Bay, but I just feel like Brevard County has so much to offer in terms of this, and they just simply aren't taking advantage of it.
Yeah. I think, you look at Florida in general, we're such a huge tourist state.
Right.
And, but a lot of it is sucked into the Orlandos of the world, the down south in Miami. And like you had said, we're the Space Coast.
Right.
We offer so many great things and so many things. I mean, we have a beautiful coastline. We have a beautiful beach, right? And we keep it, going pretty well. We have the Indian River Lagoon, so many things. And I agree that whether it's establishing, I'm a sports fan, so
right?
Why can't an NFL team come here? I'm just kidding. Yeah. But, meaning, whether it's having more occurrences of concerts, where it's having more those things that are here today, there tomorrow, Tough Mudder, Spartan races,
right,
different little things that pop up here tomorrow, and also as you look at Palm Bay. I say the funny line all the time, and I say it with my friends all the time. I think the biggest entertainment factor in Palm Bay right now is that we have every fast food choice in the world.
You do?
Yeah.
And it's all within a block of each other.
It's all within a block of each other. And, why can't Palm Bay keep the entertainment factor of having our own local eatery area, like a downtown Melbourne? But here, we certainly have the space. We certainly have the location that's zoned for it. And then shifting gears and looking at those things that are here today, there tomorrow, whether it's concerts, whether it's Tough Mudders, whether it's just these local events that come here and give people an option and factor to go. I mean, one of the people I admire great is Aaron Parr, the athletic director, trainer at Bayside, and he has a huge a deal with that. He actually is bringing concert and venues here in November.
That's my point. Yeah.
I mean, it's. I caution myself when saying nothing is hard, but it just takes a proactive approach. It's
right.
Putting that budget with that conservative spending to have that allocation, that proactive approach to bring things here that people can have fun in the city.
When the county lost the Country Music Festival at Wickham Park over here, they did nothing to replace it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't care what music festival. You've got Wickham Park over there.
Yep.
You know, so I hear you. And you've got beautiful parks down in Palm Bay.
Yeah. No.
But you got space down there to do some great stuff.
I mean, you got that, the Country Thunders of the world.
Right.
And that was around the time when I was a kid. I remember my brothers going there and having a ball, right? I think it's just, we are such a family-friendly town.
Yes.
Why can't there be a focus to that? Everyone talks about, you know, how do we make the citizens happy? How do we make the citizens, you know, enjoy the city? And yes, we need to be good leaders. We need to make sure infrastructure is safe, public safety is going. But another thing is, why can't we give them options and avenues to enjoy their time while they're here, right? It takes a lot of money to go to Orlando. It takes a lot of money to do these things. If I can just drive down the road.
Do you know Mayor Medina?
I do.
You know, back in my days with the Daily, I had the great fortune to meet and cover Mayor Medina a lot.
Yep.
I believe at the time, and I apologize, but I cannot remember who he was working for at the time. But, yeah, I can't remember.
Bill Posey?
Yeah, Bill Posey. That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And so, obviously, as a reporter and covering politics, it was always Rob Medina I dealt with. And it was just wild to see him become mayor of Palm Bay. So now here's the serious question. Now, I'm going to give you that camera, all right?
Okay.
Obviously, you're in a campaign.
Yep.
You got a primary coming up, what, in August, right?
August 20th, yeah.
August 20th, okay. Looking at that camera, and why are you the candidate for Palm Bay City Council seat 2?
I believe I'm the candidate for Palm Bay City Council seat 2 is because I'm young, I'm fresh. I think there's such a focus on younger leadership and getting us in the game to be able to challenge the norms, challenge the ideas that are already set there and bring a different, fresh perspective. I think one of the biggest things I'm getting out of door knocking and knocking hundreds to thousands of doors, hundreds to thousands of doors, is that there is a need for fresh blood, new ideas, people that don't have preconceived notions. And that's the biggest thing I bring. And, you know, what you see is what you get. What I'm going to say to your face is what I'm going to say behind your back, right? Is I'm a genuine person. I don't believe that negativity and tearing someone else down is the way to a solution. So what I'm trying to get at with that is that there needs to be a genuine care for the growth and the overall development of Palm Bay, right? And that's another thing I bring. And at the end of the day, it's not one council member. It's a city council. It's a city in general, right? And I have a strong passion being able to build relationships, be able to work with people, be able to, you know, find solutions and work, you know, fair in the sandbox with everyone and making sure that things get pushed forward. Because the worst thing can happen is that nothing passed because there's split votes, there's no majorities, there's no nothing. So those are the things that I believe as a candidate I bring, right? There has been so much emphasis on wanting to bring faith and trust back to local leadership. And you know what? I'm not a part of the old regard. I'm not trying to be a part of the new regard. I'm just trying to be someone that can give Palm Bay a person to trust and a person that's going to genuinely care for you as a resident, but also as an individual. So
love it. Absolutely love it. And then I guess, is this your first foray into politics?
This is. Yep.
What would you say to those that would say you're inexperienced?
I think all experience is relative. No one knows everything. No one knows all the answers. No one knows all the solutions.
That's correct.
I think different ideas is the name of the game, especially in politics. Clearly, if this person that has X amount of years experience can't get the job done, what makes you think another person is going to do it? I think it's more about trusting that, you know what, if I don't know something, I'm going to get the job done. And as a football coach, that's the thing you got to preach to your players. And you know what, if I'm going to preach it to them, I'm going to preach it to myself that experience is relative, and if you want to tip your hat on that, tip your hat on that. But at the end of the day, you know what I stand for, you know what I'm going to do for you, and you know you can count on my word.
I tell you, it's funny because the one thing that not just Brevard County, not the country, the world. And you see it more and more and more. It's we want to go with the new because we know where the old have taken us,
Exactly.
right? And I don't mean age. I just mean ways of thinking and ways of doing things.
Yep.
And I see an experience as a plus these days.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do. Because you know what? There are some things you don't want to learn on the fly, but you have those abilities going in. But there are some things you just can't help but learn on the fly.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
At the end of the day, I think in my own life, I try to be a humble guy and not be a self-promoter, but I have the tangibles of, you know what, I struggled through 4 years of college and got my degree. I did my MBA. I worked my way where I'd have am in my career. So I may not be, quote-unquote, experienced in the realm that people say, but in life, I'm experienced to get things done. And you know what? I can pick things up on the fly. You know what? Hey, I don't know it. Give me a 2-minute conversation now.
That's right. Let's talk about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Help me learn, and let's get the problem solved.
And that's why I love knocking on doors, because I ask citizens all the time, tell me what you want changed.
What's the biggest thing, like knocking on doors, like the things that you've learned and discussed? This intrigues me. What's the biggest thing that you've gone home, you've knocked on a door and somebody told you, and you went, oh, my God, I was not expecting to hear something like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything that sticks out? Or, I mean, there may not be.
The thing that sticks out, and it sticks out, but it's something that people know, is that I've been so surprised at how many people say that they don't feel heard. They don't feel like they don't have a voice. And I'm running because I just want to be an extension of the people of Palm Bay. I am not running to be a servant to Patric McNally. I'm running to be a servant to the residents of Palm Bay. And that's why I love having those conversations and hearing that feedback from citizens, is that they want to be heard. You know what?
Right.
Whether your issue is a level 10 or a level 1, you deserve to know that someone genuinely hears and cares for what you're saying. I know in my own life, I don't like to get pushed to the curb. I don't like the person that smiles and nods and walks away, because you can feel it.
Right. Oh, always.
And so many people say to me, Patrick, I just want someone that knows that I know that's going to work for me and that's going to listen to me if I need their ear.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to bring to Palm Bay.
Sometimes you might not be able to fix it, but listening,
yes,
is what matters. I used to have a girlfriend that would tell me, I don't need you to fix this. I just need you to listen to me. Right? Okay.
That's a good point.
And I always thanked her after we were done with the conversation, because my first instinct would have been to try to fix it. And she told me not to. I wouldn't have.
Sometimes they just want to know that they're being heard.
Yep, that's exactly right. Patrick, this has been a great conversation, a very enlightening one for me. Good luck with your campaign. And I hope you're sitting in Palm Bay City Council seat number 2. I really do. And appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday nights.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. So that'll wrap up our time here with Patric McNally, quarterback coach down at Bayside. And, of course, again, the information there on the screen about Patric and the QR code. And if you can help, please help Patric. And, again, I tell you, it's great to have someone involved in the community that teaches our kids, coaches our kids, and works hard and wants to help out the community as a whole. So I want to thank Caleb Brown, because if you've ever been here, it may look like we're sitting on Television Hill, but we are not, and Caleb makes this look really good in a very small space, so we appreciate him for his production work. And so for Patric McNally, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinsky. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you real soon.